In the 1990s, Christmas parties, whether held at school, at the office, or in someone's living room, carried a kind of charming, no-frills magic that was unmistakably tied to the vibe of the West Coast. There was something unpolished, yet deeply warm, about the way people gathered to celebrate. It wasn't about elaborate themes or Pinterest-perfect decor. It was about the energy, the togetherness, and the unmistakable smell of plastic tablecloths, sugar cookies, and scented candles. From San Diego up to Seattle and everywhere in between, this was the golden age of classroom potlucks. Hand-cut snowflakes taped to windows, awkward Secret Santa gifts, and Mariah Carey's voice, filling every possible space. Her hit, All I Want for Christmas Is You, wasn't just a song. It was the soundtrack of the season, embedded in every memory like tinsel and shag carpeting. These parties didn't fade into the background. They stuck with you. The memories are oddly specific and widely shared, woven into the collective nostalgia of an entire generation. You don't even have to close your eyes to remember them. They come rushing back with the first notes of a holiday jingle or the sight of a glitter-covered ornament in a plastic storage bin. For school kids in the 90s, especially those growing up in California and the rest of the laid-back West Coast, the last day before Christmas break was nothing short of a magical, full-throttle celebration. The excitement didn't just build, it practically exploded. It would start simmering earlier in the week, usually by Wednesday, when teachers would casually mention party prep and remind students to bring snacks, games, or small wrapped gifts. By Thursday, the class was buzzing like it had collectively downed a dozen pixie sticks. And when Friday finally arrived, classrooms no longer looked like classrooms. They looked like makeshift winter wonderlands, or at least the best a Southern California classroom could do without actual snow. Desks were rearranged into big circles or pushed into the corners to make room for action. Folding tables appeared out of nowhere, covered in disposable tablecloths from Party City, and loaded up with buffet spreads that reflected the delicious, chaotic diversity of the student body. Pepperoni pizza from Pizza Hut, lumpia, tamales, fruit punch, homemade cookies, Capri Suns, Jell-O jigglers, and endless bags of chips. Kids ran around with construction paper antlers on their heads, and the walls were taped up with red and green art projects they'd been working on all month. Stockings with their names on them, cotton ball Santas, and paper snowflakes they'd proudly declared impossible before eventually folding and snipping their way to success. At some point in the day, teachers would dim the lights, pop a VHS tape into the bulky classroom TV, and let the magic unfold. Home Alone, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, and The Muppet Christmas Carol were always top picks, their static-filled audio drifting across rooms that smelled like a mix of crayons, frosting, and pizza grease. There was rarely any real instruction happening. It was all vibes. All day, and nobody minded. It felt like time had frozen, like school had temporarily turned into something special and comforting and fun. Teachers, especially the ones who leaned into the festive spirit, would sometimes bring their own boom boxes from home and play holiday music from cassettes or burned CDs. These were the teachers who wore light-up earrings or Santa hats and didn't mind if you brought your Game Boy in your backpack just for today. The classroom gift exchange was often the most anticipated moment. Kids would crowd around a table or a fake fireplace display, one by one, picking mystery presents out of a sack or trading based on guesses and giggles. The gifts were never expensive, but they felt like treasure. Things like scented lip balm from Bath and Body Works, stretchy gloves with glitter threads, novelty pens, slap bracelets, or a coveted Tiger Electronics handheld game. There was always one kid who got socks and one kid who brought in something way over budget and instantly became the legend of the day. After the presents came board games, card games, maybe a dance contest, or just a lot of laughing and running around. Some kids would spend the rest of the afternoon playing with their new gifts, curled up in the corner of the room with a friend and a Capri Sun, while others would try to stretch out the final moments before the bell by sneaking in one more cookie. For teens growing up on the West Coast in the 1990s, the holiday vibe was unmistakably cheerful, but it carried a slightly cooler, more self-aware edge. The spirit of the season was still alive and well, but filtered through the lens of youth culture, grunge fashion, and just enough angst to keep things interesting. High school campuses in California and beyond rang out with the sounds of All I Want for Christmas Is You, No Doubt, Green Day, and Third Eye Blind, blasting from outdated quad speakers as students shuffled between classes in Vans or Doc Martens. ASB groups worked overtime during December, organizing lunchtime candygrams that students could send anonymously or very pointedly to their crushes, best friends, or that one kid who let them borrow a pencil once. There were also hot chocolate stands outside the cafeteria, with styrofoam cups filled to the brim and always just a little too hot to drink right away. Holiday spirit weeks were a staple. Students participated in themed dress-up days that blurred the line between school pride and fashion experiments gone wrong. Pajama Day brought out flannel pants and oversized tees. Santa Hat Day made sure nearly every kid had some sort of felt or fuzzy red accessory on their head. And Ugly Sweater Day featured sweaters that, at the time, weren't meant to be ironic. Back then, those knits were just something you pulled out of the back of your mom's closet, or maybe received from a distant aunt, who still mailed you packages wrapped in too much tape. No one had invented the term ugly sweater party yet. It was just called getting dressed for school. Teen Christmas parties were typically low-key and held in suburban living rooms, garages, or backyards with strings of multicolored lights hastily pinned to a wooden fence. You didn't need much to throw a successful party back then. A decent stereo with a few holiday CDs or Winamp playlist, Cool Ranch Doritos in a plastic bowl, 2-liter bottles of Mountain Dew or Surge, a Jell-O mold that no one really ate but everyone joked about, and maybe a stack of YM or Thrasher magazines left out for effect. Someone's older sibling, probably in college or pretending to be, was usually in charge of the music, introducing newer tracks, or giving the party some edge with alternative hits. If someone had AOL dial-up at home and a family computer that wasn't being used, there might be a chance to hop online and show off a personal Angel Fire page decked out in snowflake gifs and Comic Sans headers. It wasn't high-tech, but it felt futuristic. Secret Santa exchanges were a huge deal, not just a side activity. The pressure was real. Giving the right gift, something like a bottle of CK1, a Blink 182, or no doubt CD, a plush toy from Sanrio, or literally anything with flames or skulls from Hot Topic, could instantly boost your social standing, or at least earn you nods in the hallway until winter break. As for adults, West Coast Christmas parties in the 1990s were truly in a category of their own. They carried the manic energy of a sitcom holiday special with a healthy dose of real-world weirdness. Office parties could swing wildly in tone, depending on the budget and the personalities involved. Some were no-frills potlucks in cramped break rooms with folding tables and mismatched crockpots. Others were grand productions held at swanky hotels in downtown San Francisco or hip restaurants on the Santa Monica Pier. At the fancier parties, bartenders poured champagne, while co-workers attempted to hide how many crab cakes they were hoarding from the buffet table. The dress codes at these events were always a little unclear, leading to an odd collision of aesthetics. You'd see someone in a sequined dress and sky-high heels talking to someone else in khakis and a Christmas tie, both pretending not to notice their boss arriving in a bright red turtleneck tucked into leather pants. Outfits were often bold, sometimes brave, and occasionally baffling. Crushed velvet mini dresses, spaghetti straps layered over long-sleeved tees, platform sandals, and glittery eyeliner were common among partygoers who took inspiration from Friends, Clueless, or Sex and the City. Dads showed up in windbreakers embroidered with the company logo, sometimes pairing them with Dockers and white sneakers like they'd just come from the golf course, or from 1995. And of course, there was always karaoke. After one or two overly generous pours of spiked eggnog or a couple of wine coolers, someone would inevitably grab the mic and launch into Last Christmas or Livin' La Vida Loca. The room either lit up with laughter or turned politely silent, depending on the singer's commitment to the bit. Party favors were a whole scene unto themselves. Gift bags might include scratch-off lottery tickets, stress balls, scented candles, or Beanie Babies, which were still somehow considered an investment. Other times, employees would go home with branded mugs, pens, or holiday ornaments shaped like fax machines. The background music swayed between generations, with White Christmas fading into Smash Mouth without warning, and nobody questioning the transition. It was all part of the fun, awkward, loud, festive, and just a little bit unhinged. And honestly, that's what made it great. At home, West Coast Christmas parties in the 1990s were gloriously unpolished, joyfully messy, and unmistakably alive. They were gatherings where the line between family, friends, and whoever just happened to be around was completely blurred. Grandparents mingled with skateboard kids. Uncles you only saw twice a year sat next to your mom's coworker's boyfriend. The guest list was always a little unclear, and somehow it never mattered. Everyone showed up with something. Homemade tamales, wrapped in foil, store-bought pies in plastic containers, bowls of red and green Jell-O, or a random white elephant gift picked up last minute at the 99-cent only store. It was a patchwork of cultures, flavors, and personalities. A true reflection of California and the broader West Coast. The living room transformed into a winter wonderland through sheer determination rather than design sensibility. Gold tinsel clung to walls with masking tape. A rainbow of blinking Christmas lights surrounded the TV, casting soft glows on reruns of The Simpsons or It's a Wonderful Life, playing on VHS. The smell of cinnamon, tamales, and oven-heated frozen appetizers mixed together into one oddly comforting holiday aroma. On the coffee table, a tray of sugar cookies, some shaped like stars, others like palm trees, competed for space with candy canes, mugs of cider, and empty soda cans. And always, without fail, someone's uncle had claimed the boombox, spinning a mix of Elvis Presley, Jose Feliciano, and Mariah Carey. Sometimes all in one chaotic mashup tape. People danced in socks on linoleum floors, balancing paper plates and yelling over each other. Guests came armed with Trader Joe's paper bags full of gifts wrapped in shiny foil paper and desserts that were either an instant hit or completely untouched. Kids tore through the house in bursts of sugar-fueled energy, darting past folding chairs and tinsel-covered plants with Nerf guns in hand, oblivious to any breakables. Someone was inevitably trying to pose the family dog in a Santa hat, chasing it around the backyard while wielding a Polaroid camera or a disposable Kodak. The photos rarely turned out centered or clear, but they were saved in drawers and albums anyway, smudged with fingerprints and Christmas cheer. The West Coast holiday scene during the 1990s wasn't about aesthetic perfection or picture-worthy decor. It was about participation. You didn't need a Pinterest board or a custom party invite. You just needed to show up. Christmas parties weren't choreographed events. They were built on ritual and improvisation. Maybe the tree was artificial and older than you. Maybe the lights on the roof only half worked. Maybe no one ever remembered to buy napkins. But there was laughter, noise, and a shared sense that this chaos, this warmth, was what the season was supposed to feel like. And then there was the soundtrack of the season. Somewhere in the background, a stereo played a lopsided mix of the Beach Boys' Christmas album, Jingle Bell Rock, Feliz Navidad, and All I Want for Christmas Is You. Occasionally, someone would pop in a CD they burned off LimeWire or Napster if they were ahead of the curve, and it would be half Christmas songs, half Tupac. It was uneven, hilarious, and entirely fitting. In the end, the 1990s West Coast Christmas wasn't something you could replicate through trends or recreate with filters. It was raw and full of heart. It was the rustle of wrapping paper, the sugary scent of store-bought fudge, the hum of mismatched conversations, and the familiar joy of knowing school was out, work could wait, and for once, everyone was in the same place at the same time. Whether you were 9 or 39, there was magic in the mismatched stockings, the paper crowns from Christmas crackers, and the styrofoam cups of punch with floating orange slices. And honestly, not a single person cared if it snowed or not. The palm trees still wore their lights. The air still smelled like chimneys and street tacos. The backyard still hosted 3 generations of party guests. And Christmas still felt exactly right. Because on the West Coast in the 90s, the holidays came with sunshine, chaos, and a whole lot of love. Served warm, just like the tamales.
Come along, let's sing, where the joy will bring. Tune into the beat, feel the magic, it's true. Channel 199 X, we're here just for you, for you.